Do you guys remember when I was talking about it actually went super viral on Twitter for whatever reason, or X.com, when I talked about the fact that the gaming community is praying for games to suck. Like a new game comes out, no matter what, even if they haven't played it yet, they want it to fail. That went super viral. I didn't expect it when I went on that rant, and honestly, I wish I was a little sharper that morning so I could have articulated it a little bit better. But I saw this Shroud clip that I thought was interesting. I actually think that I'm actually pretty fascinated by just the current situation that Shroud is in, right? He co-signs this game as a co-owner, Spectre Divide. They come out with a beta, and then they release the full game. Shroud in an integral part in making the game and consulting on the game, all of these things. And so I've actually had a lot of people come to my chat asking me if I'm going to try Spectre Divide. Am I going to play it? And we've talked about that, but let's just watch this clip real quick.
Shroud is mad about his new shitty game.
Oh my God, there's so much to unpack here. There really is. All right, so let's look at the comments. Okay, so we got... See, this is the problem, bro. This is the problem, like, when you join, like, a studio or, like, you take on the responsibility of being a face for a studio, which was kind of, like, a lot of my fear for making our own game. This comment, doesn't he complain about every FPS he touches? See, now this is the tough part about being a streamer. It's like you could sit there for 8 hours a day and you could have one moment of frustration on a game and it will get clipped out, and that's the only thing people will see from you on a stream. And if you don't watch that person play games or watch their stream consistently, you're going to see something and think like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit. All he does is bitch and complain. So, of course, people are going to feel this way because I know Shroud. I know he's a fucking nice guy. He's a smart guy, and he understands games better than most. But, like, I have seen a lot of TikToks over the last year where he's complaining about a game or like a feature of a game or a mechanic of a game. So like, bro, when I watch this and I'm like, dude, I gotta go see these comments, right? I gotta go see these comments because people are just like calling, he's talking about his game, the game that he's a part of. There's things wrong with it. And he's like, yo, do you not fucking think that they don't know this? Do you not understand that they understand there's something wrong and they're trying to fix it? Whatever. So that's the tough position that he needs to be, that he's in now, because he's like the face of Spectre Divide. It's like anything that is wrong with the game, he's either one, got to bite his tongue and ignore the problem until the team fixes it, or he's going to sit here, read his chat all day of people bitching and complaining, and then he's got to defend the game itself. And then people start turning on Shroud because he's corpo now. He's everything that people find wrong with the gaming community. I mean, he's in a rock and a hard place, bro. This is a tough position to be in, and I don't envy it. And it's like, look at this. Spectre Divide is literally shitty Valorant. 13,000 people like this comment. Do you think 13,000 people that like this comment have even played it? I haven't played it, so I'm not going to sit here and say yada, 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 but I haven't played it yet. Imagine this. Imagine playing this over Valorant. Shroud spends years shitting and complaining about bugs in every other game, but when he tells him to fix his game, it's his issue. Shroud getting his own medicine. His game gonna flop. The game is still a thing? ? That hype lasted like 2 days. Just another Splitgate. Nobody playing Spectre Divide. Washed out Valorant. He complains too many games being released unpolished. This, it's crazy, man. It really is crazy. Just the state of the gaming industry and how like kids playing these games perceive the world and perceive the games. Like, look, I haven't played it yet. I don't know anything about Spectre Divide other than the streams that I've watched briefly and the things that I've seen on TikTok. But I mean, can you guys really disagree with me that people just want games to fail? Like, the cool thing to do, or people's natural disposition, is to hate on something that they don't understand or they haven't played. Where, you know, in a lot of ways, like, I don't have like a strong perspective on this, and you know, this could just be me yapping on stream, but it's like, wouldn't we want more games to succeed? Wouldn't we want more variety and other opportunities to play games similar to every game has been inspired by another game for the most part. You know, you could talk to me about like what came first, the chicken or the egg. There obviously had to be a starting point where all games now are like derived from like this original in the world of FPS. Like every game has pulled inspiration from other games, but I just don't understand. And I think it might just be TikTok or the internet or I don't know what the problem is, but it just, people want shit to fucking fail. I think it's hard to argue against that. I think it's hard to argue if you're living and breathing, self-aware and somewhat understanding of the world around. It's hard to ignore, to me. I just feel like no matter what a studio does, no matter what they try, unless they hit the jackpot and they create something, whether it was intentional or out of sheer luck, that changes the way that people play a genre of a game or what have you. It's like people complaining about Valorant, right? When it came out versus Counter-Strike, we're literally seeing the same complaints. Like Valorant turned into a game that so many people have fallen in love with, but in a lot of ways, bro, it's trying to be something similar to Counter-Strike. I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore, but I'm not saying that the mechanics are one-to-one. There's an old clip of me saying that Counter-Strike Valorant mechanics are one-to-one. I don't actually mean like the nuance of the mechanics, but they're tack shooters. They're very similar. They're very, very similar. In a lot of ways. They're very unsimilar in a lot of ways, but come on. I mean, a lot of the things that I'm seeing that Spectre Divide people are saying in the comments and why they don't like it or why they're not going to play it or why they think it's shitty are the same things that people were saying about Valorant, about Counter-Strike. So, I don't know. I'm just fascinated by the hive mind, I would say. And I'm fascinated by the position that Shroud is in because of stuff like this.
My opinion, I think your game, Shroud, I think it has potential to be bigger than this one just because people can understand what the fuck is going on.
Well, I mean, Valve versus indie dev, a little different, but I keep that W glaze for sure. I love it.
No, just from a viewership.
I love it.
See,
Like
bro, watch this guy's face.
Shroud, I think it has potential to be bigger than this one just because people can understand what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
I mean, Valve versus indie dev.
See, I would kind of push Shroud on this, bro. Not to sound like I'm trying to, fight against this man, because I do consider Shroud a friend. I like him a lot. And I'm not trying to be like that guy. But I'm reacting to his shit on my stream for my own personal gain, so I guess I am being that guy. Yo, Shroud, I love you to death, bro. I actually don't know if the studio behind Valve would be, or behind Spectre Divide would be considered an indie dev. I mean, they've raised tens of millions of dollars, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what necessarily, what the true definition, let's see. I don't know what necessarily is the true definition behind it, an indie dev. But Spectre Divide, the dev team behind it, are all like ex-successful tech folks. Yeah, I think the founder of Spectre Divide was one of the co-founders of Oculus. Let's see. Indie dev studio. What is the definition of an indie dev studio? Okay, so maybe it actually, I think it probably is considered an indie dev studio. I take back everything I just said. I'm a fucking idiot. See, there you go. I didn't know what the true definition of an indie dev studio was. It's a small group of people who create games without the backing of a large publisher. So they don't have like a publisher like Epic or Activision or Riot publishing the game. It is an independent game studio, development studio. It does. I don't think it has a small budget. I'm pretty sure that they have raised tens of millions of dollars from outside investors. So I don't know. I mean, that's just one part of this clip.
A little different, but that W glaze for sure. I love it.
No, just from a viewership.
I love it.
But it's funny. It's like Spectre Divide, I feel like got kind of caught up in some really weird timing just on the internet, right? Because here you have Shroud being the face of Spectre Divide that just released, fully released to the public for free. And then you have Valve drop Deadlock, which is in closed beta, but has stolen a lot of attention from Shroud specifically and a lot of people in the gaming community. There's so many people playing it and trying it for the first time. And it's taken like a third-person shooter, implemented it into like a MOBA setting like League of Legends, similar to Smite, Dota, all this shit. I don't know, man. I've just been seeing a lot of Tens and Shroud on my TikTok, and I figured it'd be nice to yap about it. I think Shroud has great intentions behind what he's trying to do with Spectre Divide, but he's kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place where now he's kind of dealing with a lot of the anguish from the community that are playing it. They need to fix this, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't get fixed overnight because that's really not how games work. And then people are complaining to him. He obviously wants to defend the studio, defend the time and money that he's invested into Spectre Divide. And then he kind of looks like the bad guy when I don't necessarily think he is. And then he's got Deadlock out. He wants to play that. And then people are thinking, well, why aren't you playing Spectre Divide? It's just like a very unique position. And I think it's like a very interesting, I think this is a very interesting situation to see how trends will shape investments and just investors in general. Like, I think everybody's been trying to crack the code of like, okay, we have this really great idea for a game. It's going to be really hard to launch to the public and get like to the scale of a community that we want playing the game. So we're going to take a shortcut. We're going to bring on a couple creators as investors or co-owners. That will be our main marketing campaign, is their community sharing it with the rest of the gaming community. And that way they don't have to spend tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing like Apex did back in the day with EA. Bro, when Apex first launched, they had pretty much every streamer on Twitch playing the game with a hashtag ad. Just so happens to be that the game ended up becoming a game that everybody still wanted to play, which is very unique. But after they did the paid opportunities for Apex, a lot of people stopped playing it. And it wasn't until they made some like pretty big updates to the way the game was played until people started coming back. And then Apex started to become a game that was like a tentpole FPS or like a foundational FPS in the gaming community. So I just think it's all this shit that's going on right now in the world of gaming with changes in games and things that are happening. I just find it all pretty fascinating. Okay, well, a lot of you guys probably could have thought that rant or reacting to that was pretty unnecessary or boring, but I enjoyed it. It gave me something to talk about. Here we are. We've been live for an hour, and I just have sat here and talked, just like we normally do.